poster child of the most unhealthy American that existed at that point, I somehow got in my hands a book by a physicist called Dr. Christopher Hill. And in that book, when I opened it, he had photographs of the electromagnetic energy coming out of foods such as apple. And he showed photographically when you chew and bite into an apple that energy moves into you can measure in the human body. Now I thought either he was out of his mind or this was something I better look into a little bit deeper. At the time I just chose to think he was out of his mind. Then I sort of, through my own unfortunate overweight and sickness and lack of breathing and addiction to smoking, had to change. I didn't really want to change. I thought that was a swift life, by the way. And I did change. And before you know it, I started to read a little bit more about this type of thing. And I finally became familiar with the mother of, the creator of, the pioneer of biofrequency medicine. And back in 1948, Dr. Valerie Hunt was hired as the first woman in the California educational system. She worked at UCLA. And she, by the time she was in her mid-20s, I believe, had 2 or 3 PhDs. Once I asked her, Valerie, why did you do that? She said, well, gee, I wasn't quite sure what subject I'd like most. It's quite an interesting, brilliant woman. Valerie's still alive. She's 94 years old now. She did the foreword to one of my latest books, Supplements Exposed. And she did a brilliant series of filming a number of years ago. She must go back a quarter of a century ago now, where she took a young athlete and sat that man down and did ultraviolet filming, motion filming of him, where he was eating the typical junk food diet. He had a soda, he had French fries, and he had a hamburger. And you could physically see on this film that every time he chewed and swallowed one of these denatured items, that his electromagnetic energy field around his body reduced. I used to think that a day later she cleaned him up and then put him on a raw food meal. But she told me, she corrected me back in Santa Barbara about a year ago when I was speaking and said, oh no, we gave him about a liter of water and then 10 minutes later sat him down in the same position, filmed him eating raw food. And only 10 minutes later, interesting enough, you literally saw that every time he chewed and swallowed raw food, that he increased the electromagnetic frequency around his body. Now, I know that all of you are more sophisticated than just understanding simple things like that, but let me tell you, I've never seen anything more profound as to what we should eat. And if you really got down to the base of truth and reality, you'd know that. A film that shows you you eat dead food that's denatured, takes energy from you. You eat raw food, gives you energy. Which one would you choose? Well, how about this? How about this one over here? So don't sit around being a quasi-thinker. Use some common sense in this process. You'll know what to eat.